Yeah, at some point this week.
Okay, and then is Eli Apple available to go this week?
He'll be day to day. Yeah, but he's feeling a lot better.
DJ Reader?
Not this week.
When will you get a better sense of when DJ will be ready?
The bye. We get a feel at the bye. So I won't make any declarations there. It's been really positive, his recovery. I think he's feeling really good. And so we get a chance to assess those types of situations at the bye week.
And Trey,
Yeah, we'll just see how Trey goes this week.
one more, Trey Hendrickson, did he come out of the game okay?
Yeah.
And Sam's finger.
Yeah, Sam, I mean, it's his finger. It bothers him, but knowing Sam, he'll fight through it.
Logan Wilson came out of it fine.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
How do you
Logan's
feel
good.
about the cornerback group as a whole without Chido? Obviously, you have a lot of trust in Eli if he's able to go, but just knowing that Taylor-Britt and you guys have other players that you're going to rely on.
Yeah, that's where the depth in the room really has to step up, and it's a group that we're confident in. They need the experience, and so they're going to get some experience. Guys like Cam, and that's a good thing for the depth of the room. And it's unfortunate. Chido's such a leader for us and great player. Of course, that's hard to replace, but again, we've got confidence. I know Chuck's done a great job with that room, developing those guys, and when their number's called, they'll be ready.
How can Dax Hill help you with the depth, with what you're trying to do right now?
Well, he's played a lot of those roles in college, and some of the coverage things we've asked him to do in the packages he's played, gives him a chance to help you in a lot of different areas of need, like he did in the game the other day, going out there at corner. It's not something he practiced very limited in training camp. I think a day or two there at corner, so he's aware, and again he's a guy that can serve a lot of roles for you.
Do you have to start doing more of that in practice to have him potentially be somebody that can play outside corner for you? Is that something you have to start looking at?
That was something we've discussed, not necessarily corner necessarily, but just again ways to continue to bring him along. He's done a nice job. He's active. He's doing everything he can, and just finding spots for him.
What are the conversations, Zach, when a player like Chido goes down, in terms of using a player that you have on the roster and plugging him in versus changing scheme or changing our approach to compensate? What are those conversations like?
Well, very different conversations because one's a personnel conversation of who's available and how do you fill that spot, and then B, that's for Lou to decide during the course of the game, and then in the week after, as you're evaluating what you got to do, does that change your scheme, or do you continue to do what you do? And some of that has to do with the team you're playing against. Those are decisions we've got to make. I'm not talking Carolina necessarily, just overall. It's where do they stress you, and how do you need to continue to evolve?
Back to Dax, when you took him in the first round, was his role that you projected kind of how it's gone this season?
Well, it's a long-term role for Dax, and it's for any rookie. We were fortunate enough to have a lot of vets on that side of the ball, and so we knew that there was great chances early on that it was very few snaps, like it has been, and that he'd have to step up on special teams and continue to earn his way. And again, we just saw a really good player available to us at that spot, and so we took the best player that's available to us, and really happy with his approach and his future for us, immediate and future. And so again, he'll continue to serve some good roles for us.
Looking at tape of both those guys after the game with young players like that,
Yep.
there's going to be peaks and valleys, ups and downs.
Yep.
Were there more ups than downs?
There was good and things that we can improve on as well, and I think that's what you got to look at, and that's to be expected. There's no shocker there. They're playing against good players, and so again, there will continue to be areas that they can improve in, and I know that they will.
How big of a challenge it is for a guy that has not repped at outside corner to
Yeah.
step in and do that if asked?
Yeah, that's incredibly difficult, to get out there and I'm sure it feels very different. There's times certainly the safeties get put out there when you're covering a tight end in man coverage and he's flexed out. So it's not foreign to them, and obviously Dax has played some of those roles in his past. But when you're out there and it's now a receiver, Amari Cooper, and you're matched up, it's different, if you haven't practiced it, and appreciate the way that he fought and went in there and did everything he could for us.
Zach, what was the kind of conversations like internally amongst the front office ahead of the trade deadline, and kind of what led to y'all not making any moves there?
Duke always does a thorough process of evaluating any potential needs we could have. and ultimately we stood pat.
Zach, is there any updated timeline on Jamar Chase at all, or any more clarity?
No updated timeline. No, didn't put him on IR, which should tell you what we're hopeful of and what our thinking was.
What?
I'm sure you had a nice timeline, pipeline in Nebraska on Taylor-Britt. What, has he been what you thought from just maybe even from a personality standpoint?
Yeah.
How he approaches it?
Yeah. He's a guy, when he's out there on the grass, he's super competitive, really locked in, dialed in. Practice is important to him. Competing is important to him. And that's right in line with the information that we had.
What's your outlook on the Carolina Panthers surprise the Bucks and I guess
Yeah.
a lot of people with
Yep.
how they turned around after they let their coach go?
No question. It's a good team. It's a good team. And starting with their defense, they're really equipped with talent across the board. They do a good job with their scheme, and that's maybe evolved a little bit the last 3 weeks, but really good. Really made it hard on the Rams, made it really hard on Tampa, and then this last week against Atlanta made some big plays, but it was a hard fought game for them. So, and then you look at the offense side of the ball for them. They've got weapons there. Their quarterback's playing well. They got a lot of confidence in them, and so it's a team that. I don't really care what their record is. We just watch the tape and we see the issues that they pose and the talent that they have and the coaches they have on staff that are really doing a nice job putting them in a position to be successful. And man, they've had some games that haven't gone their way, but and not for 1 second do we look at that record and think that's the type of team this is. This is a really good team that is going to fight you and has a lot of good playmakers on this team.
What did you think of
PJ Walker's throw at the end of that game?
That's one you can tell felt really good when that came off his hand. You've kind of got those long distance tosses you've done in probably summertime in college as quarterbacks, and he's kind of moving to his left as momentum's going forward, and you can just tell he got everything into that ball, and it came off his hand real nice. It didn't flutter at all. It's much farther than most guys can throw it, certainly. But I'm sure in his head that thing came right off his fingertips, and he thought, "Yep, I got that one." And it's really to a guy where everyone kind of fell asleep back there because the ball was probably initially supposed to go the sail route, and he just kind of felt like they had an edge over the top on the linebacker in the corner, and I think it even surprised the receiver there for a second. If you watch him, he kind of rolls up and then bursts and makes a great catch and what a spectacular play. So credit to him for buying time. They gave him time. He bought time. And then just heads up to be available down the field and finish the play was really impressive.
How would you evaluate the offensive line as a whole through 8 weeks?
I think they're doing a great job.
What do you like about what they've done so far? Overall,
Yeah, the communication, the protection, the camaraderie. Really, really pleased with that group.
How would you evaluate Joe Mixon in all phases as a runner, a receiver, and in pass pro, and would you consider spreading snaps around to others?
We do. I mean, Samaja's got, I think 17 catches this year. Mixon's got over 30. Has been really productive in the pass game, which even when we're not giving a lot of carries, that's an extension of the run game. Burrow does a great job spitting the ball out to Joe quickly so he can get downhill, and he does a really good job punishing people on contact, getting us what we need to stay efficient on normal downs. And so I've been really pleased with that part of things.
How about in pass pro?
I think in pass pro, those backs, they got to do a good job on the linebackers as they blitz inside there, and there's always things that we can improve on. But I think those guys really pay attention to the details and do everything we're asking them to do.
Chris Evans had that nice catch on third down early in the first drive, as a matter of fact. How hard does it remain to get him reps with all the other offensive weapons?
You do. He's in there, and the opportunities aren't always there for him. He got man coverage on that one, matched up on a linebacker outside, and so we threw the go route to him. And so there's plenty of other times where we call similar types of plays, and depending on the look is where the ball is going to go. So maybe they've gone to other guys for different looks on successful plays, and he's still been out there looking for that opportunity. So Joe does a good job of, again, finding the matchup and doing his best to exploit that.
After the game, you talked about for the offense that stretch from the second to third quarter
Yeah.
is kind of being the key. When you went back and watched, is that on the film, did that kind of confirm what you saw, or any other thing offensively kind of jump out at you?
Yeah, I think our defense did a great job in the first half. Okay, and offensively, 5 drives, 3 of them, there was really scoring opportunities for us, and we came away with no points. And so, in that style of game, you needed to come away with points. Likely on all 3 of those drives would have been great, which gives you anywhere from 13 to 17 points probably, and then maybe you've got control of the game a little better. And the defense now has got that resurgence because they've done a great job, and so now they're not trailing by 15 points or 18 points, whatever it was. So early in the game, we didn't maximize our opportunities on offense. And then there was that stretch, from the end of the second quarter all the way, to late in the third quarter where we just had a 3 and out. And then, they'd scored on 3 possessions in the meantime, and the game got away from us. And so you look at it, and they beat us. They did a great job. They won the game for us. But there's also some situations where we realized the game got away from us where you'd like to think we could have done more and taken control of the game early on and gave us a much better chance to play the style game we wanted to play. So it's just one where you got to learn from. You got to see those opportunities and where they were because they're going to come up in another game at some point. And we feel good about being able to make those adjustments.
You talked a lot about you guys play well when you have more control of the game, not hugely, but just start out strong and play in front. Is that a difference between this year and last year? Do you feel like this team is a little bit different? That I don't know. Do you feel like you need to start strong or start fast?
No, because we've been down and come back and gotten in every game we've played. So I don't feel like that's any different than last year. I think that's every team in the league plays better when they have a lead. And, so just unfortunately we didn't get the points early enough like we have lately to give us better control. And against that style of team, they're great at running the football, and then once they get rolling, which they did eventually, the play action's off of that. And so when you're down 2-3 scores against that style of team, that becomes really difficult, and that's the situation we found ourselves in.
Zach, Ted Karras told us that he needs to lead with his demeanor this week to kind of set the tone, and you know how Ted is obviously, but how much does this game need to be a tone-setting kind of game going into the bye before the second half of the season?
We're just looking for a win. It's important in this league just to take it week to week. Ted sets the tone with his energy every week during the game. That's something specifically I talked to him about after the game because I appreciated his energy even when things were tough in the fourth quarter and it looked pretty bleak. He still had his positive, let's take it one drive at a time. Let's go get this onside kick and let's score and let's get ourselves back in it. And so he's Mr. Positive. You need that. So that's something we lean on him for, certainly.
Joe Burrow said that he's learned to ride the NFL wave. Certainly, you know it.
Yeah.
But are there guys in the team, younger guys, that need to be reminded, like Joe had said earlier, take a deep breath, relax, settle in here?
I think our guys understand that. And that's a big part of just tuning it out week to week. You're Super Bowl contender. You're going to have the first pick in the draft. That's the wave that seems like every team's riding right now. And our guys do an excellent job of understanding because they've been through these seasons before. Last year we were in a very similar position. Lost 2 games going into the bye. Had no momentum and then resurged there at the end. And obviously that's not what we're staring down this year. We want to get this win this week against Carolina. But it's going to take everything we got because, again, I've just watching the tape of these guys. I got a lot of respect for what they're doing right now and the way that these guys are playing and the talent that they have. Again, this is a team I've had much interaction with over the last 10 years. And so these Atlantas and these teams like this that you're really studying up on and learning more about their players, you end up walking away with a lot of respect for a lot of the talent on this team and names you've heard but never really studied that much. And they've got a lot of talented guys.
What would you like to, was there from a staff perspective, is there something that you would like to see more from Chris Evans in order to feel better about putting him on the field more?
He serves a role for us, on special teams and some of the things that he does on offense.
When you look around, and this is the busiest deadline day in history, after a couple of weeks of it, do you have any theories onto why this has become so active this time?
No, I don't, because it lulled you to sleep. The last couple of years lulled you to sleep. That there's always the conversations, and nothing ever happens. Aside from 2 or 3 moves, maybe. This year there was a lot. And again, nothing directly impacts us with our team or the Panthers. So you move on and you get ready for your game and you move on and you're aware. You've seen some of the transactions that happen around the league, but I don't have any theories because I just focus on our roster and getting ready for this game. And they didn't have any personnel moves that changed them so nothing directly impacted us. So it's just kind of you see the transaction and you move on.
As a coach, is there a thing where, okay, guys in the locker room maybe say, okay, my team didn't make a move. Did you have to address that? Like,
No.
Is there a message
No.
that is sent with that?
I think our team feels very comfortable with the type of team that we have, and again, they do such a great job of just taking it week to week, and you could feel it even in the locker room. It was disappointing after that game, because we went in there intending to win, thought we'd play well. We didn't, but you could just feel the understanding of the team where, okay, we got to quickly reset and put that one behind us. That was one of those games that, just we couldn't get things going our way. And you got to put it behind us. It's not indicative of who we're going to be the rest of the season. And go get a chance to grab some momentum here at the end of this week.
You don't have much of a sample size, but I mean, obviously not having McCaffrey is a big loss to any offense. But how much has their offense kind of changed schematically in the couple of weeks since they haven't had him?
It's you play teams every week that have an injury to a key player, and so really that's all it is to us. He appears on the tape, and then he doesn't appear on the tape, and so it's just an injury in our minds as we play this week. And they've got other, Foreman's filled in well. They have Chuba Hubbard's done a nice job and things they've asked him to do. So they still have guys and personnel that they can utilize, and I think I know coaches on their staff. They're really good football coaches, and so they're doing a good job utilizing the personnel the right way.
Zach, just overall thoughts on the depth of Adam Zimmer, kind of what was the interaction that y'all had with him, and kind of what is just
Yeah.
a little bit about that?
Adam's a great guy. He was a great guy. Really enjoyed getting to know him the last couple months. I think everybody in the building that was around him really thought a lot of him as a person, his personality. It's you focus on the person. He was also doing a great job. So I had a lot of respect for how he approached the profession and the job he was doing there. And it's heartbreaking news to get when someone had kind of come into your life like he had all of us, and he became a friend to all of us. To get the news is awful. And then you feel awful for his dad and his two sisters. And so certainly our prayers are with them. And it's just, it really, it's heartbreaking for those who knew him, those around the profession that knew him. I know a lot of guys on a lot of staffs that worked with him or knew him and were impacted, certainly. So it's terrible news.